All right. So we are studying Isha Upanishad, a very small Upanishads, which is small but very powerful and packed, very packed. The literal translations of the verses does not make much sense. They are paradoxical sometimes. And so we need to look deeply what they mean. So what we are doing, we are trying to understand what the Upanishad is trying to tell us. And in doing so, we are not only referring to what the traditional interpretations are, but also we are trying to see what it means to our own life. What it means to our own life. Some of the interpretations, some of the commentaries were centuries long. The most famous commentary on this Upanishad is Acharya Shankara, who was in 8th century, 8th, so 1200 years ago. So some of the things are not pertinent now. But again, his commentary is indispensable. Otherwise, we would not have understood many meanings of the words of this Isha Upanishad. So we have seen 4 verses till now, and what they told us in a nutshell. The first mantra or first verse said us, try to see the divine presence everywhere. That is, try to spiritualize your world. And it also said, don't be greedy and be content with whatever you have. So if you try to spiritualize your world, the thing is, try to be content with whatever you have. And we saw in details what the deeper meaning of this. Then mantra 2 told us that to live a meaningful life, you need to work. But this work, to give a meaning to your life, try to connect your work with a greater purpose. And that greater purpose is try to serve the living gods, because that is the first mantra. Isha vasam idam sarvam. Whatever we are seeing, whatever we are perceiving is nothing but God. So if that is so, try to see, try to change your vision, try to serve the living gods. So try to serve the society, try to serve the community as a manifestation of God. Mantra 3 told us that those who ignore their spiritual life, and the Upanishad used a very strong word, those who commit spiritual suicide, those who ignore the spiritual aspect of their personality, they live in a world of spiritual darkness. That is, we were talking about materialists who never bother about to inquire about whether there is any permanent reality behind this changing universe, behind our ever-changing body and mind, who don't care to, they continue to live in this spiritual darkness. Then last day we studied mantra 4. Mantra 4 is now, mantra 4 onwards, the Upanishad is trying to give us an idea of the spiritual reality. The God the Upanishad spoke of in the very beginning is none other than our real self. That is what we are. This is the central message of the entire Upanishads, that there is one reality which is transcendental and which is also present everywhere. when looked at from our individual perspective, micro perspective, that same reality is called Atma. Atma, that is, it literally means I, the real I. And when looked at from the macro perspective or the cosmic perspective, the same reality is called Brahma, which literally means which is vast, the infinite. So Upanishad will try to again and again point to this fact that our true reality, in essence what we are, is nothing than other than this vast reality which is at the ground of all existence and which is transcendental as well as immanent. The same principle is transcendental in the sense that it cannot be perceived with our physical eyes, cannot be touched, cannot be known. But again, immanent in the sense that the same reality is not divorced from existence. So it is something Upanishad is trying to tell us, which is nothing like what we know in our life. That is why sometimes the Upanishad use some paradoxical language. In the last mantra, we saw there were 4 pointers to Atma. So one was Atma is one. That is, it is not that you have a different soul, I have a different soul, someone else has a different soul. Not there are multiple souls, but there is one. Atma is all one. Second pointer to Atma was it is all pervading. It is omnipresent, present everywhere. Third pointer was it is the eternal subject. It is the eternal subject, and it cannot be known like other objects as we know them. Sense organs, mind, etc. cannot objectify this Atma, this spiritual reality. It can be intuited. It can be intuited only. They have a special name for this intuition. It is not direct perception. They call it transcendental direct realization. They have a beautiful name in Sanskrit, aparaksho anubhuti. This realization is not through perception, but at the same time, more real, stronger than even sense perceptions. And fourth pointer to Atma was that Atma is the support of all activities, but itself it is inactive. It remains just present, and because of its presence, every activity goes on. So that's what we saw in the last mantra, mantra number 4. In mantra number 5, next mantra also, we shall see some other pointers to Atman. Okay, that also in very paradoxical language. Let us have a look. Mantra 5, okay. It says, tadejati, tannaijati, tadūre, taddvantike, tadantarasya, sarvasya, tadu, sarvasyāsya, bāhyataḥ. Okay, we shall break the words to get the word by word meaning, but for chanting, this is the version we need to follow. Okay, so what we shall do, first we shall do call and response, then we shall try to chant together. Just try. tadejati tannaijati, tadejati tannaijati, taddūre tadvantike, taddūre tadvantike, tadantarasya sarvasya, tadantarasya sarvasya, tadu sarvasyāsya bāhyataḥ, tadu sarvasyāsya bāhyataḥ. Let's try to chant together. Tadejati tannaijati, taddūre tadvantike, tadantarasya sarvasya, tadu sarvasyāsya bāhyataḥ. I know the Sanskrit words are difficult. Okay, so when we break, we find this. Tat ejati, tat na ejati, tat dure, tat u antike, tat antarasya sarvasya, tat u sarvasyāsya bāhyataḥ. And word by word meaning will be like this. Tat means that, ejati moves, tat that, na does not, ejati moves, that dure is far, u and tat that, antike is near, tat that, antarasya is within, sarvasya all this, u also, tat that, bāhyataḥ is outside, sarvasyāsya all this. So what do we get? That moves, that does not move, that is far, also that is near, that is within all this, also that is outside all this. So I send by email this what I have just shared with you, so you need not jot down, write down. Okay, I shall send it by email. So let's try to see what this verse is trying to tell us. So again, it is a paradoxical verse, that moves, that does not move. It is far, also near, within as well as without. Okay, so we shall try to understand it part by part. First is that moves, that does not move. Okay, what does it mean? So that means here, remember, let's remember, that means Atma. Okay, that means Atma, that reality. So interchangeably, Upanishad uses that and it. Okay, that and it. That to point out Brahma, the all-pervasive reality, the infinite reality, and sometimes it. Okay, so that does not mean which is there. It is speaking about something which is here, right now, within us. Okay, but they use the word Atma and Brahma so interchangeably that sometimes it may confuse us why Upanishad is speaking about something which is the innermost reality of all us, but referring to it by that. Okay, so that does not mean really far, it is here. Okay, we shall see. Tat ejati. And one thing, all these descriptions, pointers are to a impersonal reality. It's nowhere it is any person. It is all about an impersonal reality. Okay, that moves, that does not move. So if you recall, in the previous mantra, it was stated that Atma is non-moving, but moves faster than the mind. Okay. Then it says, that is, wherever the mind goes, the Atma is already present there. Right? Then it said, Atma is one. So when we joined these three descriptions of Atma, which is one, which is unmoving, as well as faster than the mind, what we got? What we got? Atma is, go ahead.
All-pervading.
Yes, all-pervading or omnipresent. Okay, that we got in the last mantra. So here it said that moves, and at that time we noted that when it moving faster than the mind, it really is not moving. It is as it were moving. Okay, so this verse, it is trying to say us, although Atma is unmoving, it appears to move. Appears to move. Why it appears to move? It is because of the limitation, the limiting adjuncts. What is that? Atma in itself, we cannot perceive. Okay, so Atma is working through our body and mind. Okay, so body and mind moving, and we are feeling Atma is moving, right? And that is why there is a, as I told several times, people have, the people of India have, many of them have this misconception that Atma moves. Atma moves. Atma does not move. Okay, it appears to move because it is the working through the body and mind, which is moving, and so we are thinking as it were Atma is moving. Okay, it is, they give an example, the reflection of sun on, say, a lake or a river, and there is a wave in the river, so the reflection is appearing to be moving. Okay, a child will say sun is moving, moon is moving, moon is running, but actually moon is not running, sun is not moving. In the same way, for us it appears that Atma is moving. So although it is not moving, it appears to be moving. Atma as consciousness is all-pervading. It does not move at all, but reflected in body and mind, it appears to be moving. So what we get? Atma, consciousness, principle in us, as it is, does not move, but as reflected consciousness through the body and mind, it appears to move. Okay, so one thing, consciousness, Atma itself does not move, but reflected consciousness, which acts through body and mind, that appears to move. So that is how we understand this apparent paradox. Second, that is far, also that is near. Shankaracharya explains it this way. So for the unenlightened ones, that is the materialists whom we encountered in mantra 3, who commit spiritual suicide, who lives in spiritual darkness, who are totally disregard any quest for spirituality, for them, for the materialist, Atma is far. Okay, it's a far for materialist, but it is near for whom? Those who have those who are the enlightened ones, those who have got the glimpse of it. We should not, to be accurate, we should not say those who have seen Atma, okay? Because we have found in the previous verse, Atma cannot be seen. We cannot also say those who have known Atma. No, it cannot be known the way we understand it, okay? So we are, walking in a very narrow, narrow path, how to describe this. So for the time being, let us say those who had the glimpse of this Atma, had a glimpse of the Atma, okay? So those who are enlightened ones, for them, Atma is here, right here, near. And not only that, that is what we find, the experience of the enlightened ones. Once they have experienced that, they find there was never a time when it was far. It was not something extra, something other than me that I attain and then it becomes mine. It was always there. So it is near for them, and after having that realization, they find that it was never far. Okay, that is Shankaracharya's explanation. For the materialists, he says ignorant, agyani. Okay, so let's say materialists. For the materialist, it is far. For the enlightened ones who had the glimpse of this Atma, it is near. Not only that, we shall come in some other Upanishad expressions like nearer than the nearest. Nearer than the nearest, this Atma. Okay. Now, question is, what about us? We are not enlightened, nor we are materialists. So for us, Atma is far or near? What should be our position? Is it near or far? Try to answer. What do you think? Just a minute. Have I muted you? Allow participants to unmute. Yes.
It's far.
It's far. It's
Far.
far. It's far.
No, it's near. It's near, but we haven't intuited it yet.
Conceptually near.
Conceptually near. Okay.
It's far.
Scottinger's Atma, is it near or far? Good one. Yes, yes, near and far, exactly. It is near as well as far. Near in the sense we have some conviction. We have some conviction about this reality, okay? And we are all fascinated about this reality. So it is not far. It is not far. At the same time, it is not near also. We cannot say, yes, I am totally convinced about the presence of Atman. Okay, so, and that is the dilemma. That is the actually problem of the spiritual seekers. Let's be frank about it. We are neither materialist nor enlightened. Okay, so we are stuck in between. Okay, sometimes it may feel like the materialists have a position. They are totally consistent with their philosophy in their life. Okay, and enlightened ones, the rare few, they are also consistent with their act and what they really have conviction about. Now, for us, the seekers, we have some degree of conviction, and at the same time, we are not totally sure about his presence. And Upanishad, according to the Upanishadic way, this conviction, one of the way of growing this conviction is studying Upanishad seriously and ponder over the pointers. Ponder over the pointers it is trying to throw at us. If we can do that, with time, we shall have more and more conviction about this reality. Okay, so the paradox, yes, spiritual seekers paradox. All right, so for us, it is neither far nor near. Okay, and it was Shankaracharya's explanation about why it is near at the same time far. Another, can anyone suggest any other way of explaining this paradox of near and far?
It's accessible, it's right there, but we have to reach out to it. We have to do the work.
Okay, good, 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 good.
When we are conscious, Atma is near. When we are unconscious about it, then Atma is far.
Yeah, it is kind of in the line of Shankaracharya's explanation. Okay. We want to be near it, but amidst the material, and we are all trying. Okay. 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 One hint. Try to think about, think through the information or pointers we have already got about Atma.
It's all pervading.
Yes, exactly. That is the answer. Since it is all pervading, it is near as well as far. Okay, it's all pervading. Think about an ocean. Okay, and a tiny thing. Suppose we are in the ocean. Okay, so as ocean, it is near, right? Near. It is not far. We are in the ocean. At the same time, it is far because it has far-reaching. It extends to vastness. So that way, wherever you go, there you are, right? So in that sense also, it's near and far, neither near nor far, right? All right, let's move ahead. Then, okay, I have to mute. Okay. Then third is, that is within all this, and that is also outside all this. So this also represents or pointing to all-pervasive nature of Atma. It is within all, that is, as conscious principle, consciousness as a principle, it is within all of us. And Upanishad will tell again and again that it is the ground of existence. It is because of Atma, actually, everything is held together. It is just like a screen on which the movie of creation is being played. Okay, so it is the ground of existence, so it is within all. Now, immediately we may conclude that Atma is within our body mind, just like here is an object within a box. So anything within a box cannot be outside the box. To negate that idea, Upanishad immediately quips, it is also outside all this. That is, it is everywhere. We are able to intuit its presence through our body-mind, intuit, but it is everywhere. Not that it is inside everything, but everything is in it. And the word for it, they use, it permeates everything, permeates, just like a cloth soaked in river. Suppose we throw a piece of cloth in a river, So water within, water without. The cloth is permeated with consciousness. It is within as well as outside. And that is what we find, Sri Ramakrishna, the mystical experience. He is using the same, this exact language when he had the mystical experience of Divine Mother Kali in the Dakhineshwar garden house. When he had that experience, we have read that experience again and again. He said, the Divine Mother revealed to me that it was she who had become everything, that everything was full of consciousness. I found everything in the room soaked, as it were, in bliss, the bliss of God. That is why I fed a cat with the food that was to be offered to the Divine Mother. I clearly perceived that all this was Divine Mother, even the cat. So, that one thing, as if permeating everything, everything is soaked in consciousness. That is what this particular expression, which is within as well as without. Everything is. Another example, Sri Ramakrishna gave, it is just like watching, say you enter into a world where everything is made up of wax, made up of wax. So there is, I mean, it's a dollhouse. It's dollhouse. Okay, everything is made up of wax. So here is elephant, here is birds, here is tiger, here is a house, tree, river, but all made up of wax. Okay, he also tries to give an idea of what the experience of Atma is like. So you see everything, you are seeing that this is elephant, it is a tree, it has got a different name, form, function, and shape. But at the same time, we are seeing in and through all of them running this one reality called Atma. That is why it is within all and also outside all. So what we get from these verse, what are the pointers we get? First pointer was, it moves and does not move. That is, as the ground of existence, it does not move. As pure consciousness, it does not move. But as reflected consciousness, through our body, through our mind, it appears to move with the body and mind. That's why it moves as well as it does not move. Second pointer was, it is near and far. Near for the enlightened one and far for the materialists. Second interpretation of near and far was that it is all pervasive. That is why it is near as well as far. Third pointer of Atma was inside all, outside all. That is, it is within everything. It is, again, it is everything is within it. Okay. So yeah, I forgot to give the example. They say, think about, to have a closest idea, space. Space. Okay. Space, not air, space. Space as an entity. So space is within this room, as well as this room is within space. Okay. This room is also within space. Everything is within space, as well as space is within room. In fact, as far as I remember, Shankaracharya uses the same example in his commentary, like space. It is within all and also without all. Now, we are also side by side seeing Madhva. Madhva, another great devotee and scholar of Narayana, Vishnu. He also commented on the Upanishad, but he tried to give dualistic interpretation. Okay, dualistic interpretation. So we also try to see at the end of each verse his interpretation, how he interprets this verse. So Madhva says, tadejati, we use, there was in the verse, the word was tadejati, tannaijati. Tadejati means that moves, that shakes. Okay. Now you will see the fun. Madhva says, Vishnu, the God, does not tremble from fear of anyone. Na ejati is not afraid of anyone. But everyone else is trembling with fear of Vishnu. Everybody trembles from fear of Lord Vishnu. Ejat, trembling in fear. But Vishnu is afraid of none. And since Vishnu is all pervading, Vishnu is far off as well as near. And Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, is without as well as within everything. Okay. So, yes, there are people who love to see that same all-pervading reality as a personal God, according to their choice. They also can think this way. Think that same God, the one whom I am worshipping in a picture, in an image, is also all-pervading God, present everywhere, within everybody. That is what Upanishad is showing to us. So far, we have got 6 pointers about this reality called Atma from verses 4 and 5. First was Atma is one homogeneous entity. Second pointer was it is all-pervading. Third, it is the eternal subject. Fourth, it is the support of all activities. Fifth, it is the ground of entire existence. Sixth, it is in everything. Everything is in it. Okay. So when we shall ponder, try to ponder deeply, think deeply, contemplate deeply about Atma, these are the pointers for us to how to get an idea of Atma. All right. So should we move to the next verse? We have time. What do you think? Okay, let me see. Is there any question about this verse? Okay. Yes, that will be a good way of. Any question about what we have read today? Unmute and just ask.
Yes, Swamiji, I have a question about verse 5. I was thinking back. About the part says it moves and moves not. One way of, I suppose, thinking about it is if it moves, it suggests change.
Right.
And, the Atman or Brahman is unchanging. So it moves not could be interpreted in that context.
Right.
Because of our veil of ignorance or Maya, it appears
to move. Exactly. Right.
So that's one way of reconciling in my mind.
Yes. Exactly. Moving, unmoving. Yeah, exactly. Anything that moves is actually a limitation.
Right. And maybe one more comment, it is far and likewise near.
Yes.
If we think of, the formless versus form.
Yes.
So, your Ishta that you meditate on the form with form appears to be near in many ways, because we have the image, we have,
Right.
so many stories and, and so on. Whereas the formless one may be somewhat abstract and appears to be far. Maybe
Right.
that's another way of
Yes,
looking
thinking.
at it.
Yes. Let's incorporate a pointer into our meditation, right? Not go on to the next mantra. All right. Next mantra is very profound. Okay, very profound mantra. Next mantra is the value of all values, at the heart of all morality. Next mantra is if you ask me to choose, although Mahatma Gandhi said that the first mantra is what humanity needs to survive. But at the same time, the next mantra, sixth mantra, is a wonderful, a profound mantra. What happens if we can have this glimpse of this Atma, of this reality? Okay, what happens? What wonderful change happens in our life? Okay, so someone suggested not go. Yes, of course, if we go into that, it will take at least 30 to 40 minutes. Okay.
Maharaj, I have a question about
Yes.
the dualistic interpretation.
Right.
So when they say Vishnu is all pervading, what do they actually mean? The spirit?
Right. Vishnu as a person is located at somewhere. Okay. But again, since Vishnu is all-powerful God, can be present simultaneously everywhere, if Vishnu wishes. That is their standpoint.
Sri Ramakrishna explained that very wonderfully. Says ocean freezes at some point. And you have a tangible form, but same thing, sun rises, it melts, and it's ocean, so it's all pervading. So it can be both simultaneously.
Yes. Yeah, that's a analogy he gave between the personal God, impersonal God, and bhakti and jnana. He gave this wonderful example. He said, imagine there is infinite ocean, and whatever direction you look at, you see that ocean, water. And at some places, water has become ice and taken a shape. So he said that that all pervading this consciousness, this reality, through bhakti, through devotion, can also take form of personal God. Okay. And again, when wisdom, the sun of wisdom or sun of knowledge rises, then this snow melts down and becomes water, formless water. And that's how he reconciled the formless aspect of God, or God with form. Another thing about Divine Mother Kali, Sri Ramakrishna said, he said, why divine, those who have seen the image of Kali, Mother Kali, is dark black, pitch black. Okay. So Sri Ramakrishna said that it only means Kali is black from a distance. Okay. If we can go near, it is no more black. Okay. So far and near, we are talking about God far or God near. Sri Ramakrishna says, so those who don't know Divine Mother, who has not known Divine Mother the reality of Divine Mother, to them, Divine Mother appears black. But if those who know, they know Divine Mother is not black, beyond any color. Beyond any color. That is another way of looking at it. If we consider Vishnu as the preserver, he is expected to be everywhere. The corollary from number 6 is the golden rule. Yes, to unto others. Yes. All right. Vishnu as preserver need not be all pervasive. Okay. One can be, king of a, think of this way, king need not be present everywhere. Okay. King could be sitting somewhere and ruling. But they say, the bhaktas will say, the devotees of Vishnu, they will say, Vishnu is omnipotent and omniscient, and if Vishnu wants, can be present everywhere in a moment, and at the same time can be present as a, located somewhere as a form. Okay. Vishnu etymology all pervasive. Okay, I have to look up. Could be. Okay, could be. Nu, the verbal root nu means really expanse or expand. Okay. Nu, right. I will look up, and then in next class we shall see what Vishnu means. All pervasive Vishnu. Any other question or thought, idea? We have still some time left. Yes.
I have question. When you think about the commentaries of Shankara, Madhva, they were for quite some time ago. Were there other commentaries more recent? Or these are considered so definitive that you don't touch?
Yes. No, it's the beauty of the Upanishads. They are amenable to different commentaries and interpretations. So interpretations are going on and on. Okay. But when we speak about commentaries, we speak about this, what we say, the most scholarly, pioneer. They were the pioneers in their schools. Shankaracharya was pioneer in monistic, non-dualist school of commentary. Madhva was the first to comment from a dualistic standpoint, as a devotee standpoint. Okay. That is why when we say about commentaries, we really mean these original commentaries.
Okay.
But there have been so many other commentaries too. Okay, later on.
I had one question which kind of ties to the first mantra, which is like seeing consciousness and divinity everywhere, and the fact that it's all pervasive. How do you see like divinity in like non-living things?
Exactly. Actually, that will also content of the next verse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ready to wait? Okay, but the question is a good one. The thing is, not through the eyes as we see it. Okay, not through the eyes, but it is they say, we develop an eye of wisdom, which is symbolically also called the third eye. Okay, through that one feels that consciousness everywhere. One does not see consciousness, one feels the consciousness everywhere. If you remember, in 2 or 3 classes before, we referred to Sri Ramakrishna's experience. There, he was referring to that I saw that the ceiling, the floor, the marble floor, the glass panes, everything was vibrating with consciousness. Okay, so this seeing definitely does not mean seeing something is floating or has pervaded like water. But this is so mystical. Exactly, this is so mystical. How we see that. But for us, definitely, since we are seeker in this path, our role would be to appreciate that same consciousness, Atma, in living beings first, in human beings, living beings first, okay, where we can relate more to it, okay. The ideal thing is we shall see it everywhere, okay. But the immediate thing we can do is try to assert this divinity in by way of acknowledging the divinity. Actually, that is what Swami Vivekananda meant by practical Vedanta. He did not want the practices of all times. Okay. He said, since if everything is God, try to see God. That is, assert this, say yourself that I am serving God. Whomsoever, I am talking to God. Okay. Then the immediate question will be how we can do that. Okay. There are so many people, not so nice people. So that's Swami Vivekananda. Yeah, even he was scolding someone, but know that this God needs a scolding now. Okay, this God needs a scolding now. I don't agree with this God. Okay, this God needs some lesson. That's true. But at the same time, it is also true that from spiritual perspective, spiritual reality, that the same God we are serving. So make it itself a practice. That what we are trying to achieve, according to the Upanishad, try to see God everywhere. So make it itself a practice. Can we say, for a moment, momentarily, a moment a day, can we, think that we are all divine? Whatever our idea of divinity is, and just for a moment, can we express that divinity? That will be a great practice for us. Okay. And seeing that even in non-living beings is, in fact, needs mystical experience. When we get a glimpse that everything is, a one entity. There is no boundary between I and you. These boundaries are there, but which is not a very strong boundaries. Rather, that we are one, this is more real than the differences. Okay, that requires mystical experience for sure. On atomic level, there is movement in inert things. Okay, Anna is sharing this information. At atomic level, there is movement even in non-living things. So does it mean it has got consciousness? In that way, it might help us. Is not Vishnu a projection of the collective mind of the devotees? This is a very, very precarious question. Anthropologically, yes. Okay. But from the devotees of Vishnu, no. Okay, Vishnu is reality. Vishnu is reality itself. There is no question of our projecting godhood or imagining godhood in some person. Okay. So whatever perspective we want to take. So it is both are correct. Both are correct. Both are correct from their own perspective. All right. So we shall see the very profound verse next day. What happens to an enlightened person? What happens to an enlightened person? How an enlightened person relate with others? And it is the, as I said, the grand value, a grand and profound idea Upanishad will be placing before us. Okay, the vision of unity, oneness. We shall see that next day. Okay, so we shall do the guided meditation now. And before that, I will take a break of 1 minute. You can also take a break.